Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our virtual panel discussion today. I am Lauren Longmire, the Director of Regional Enhancement for the Knoxville Chamber. We are so grateful you all are joining us today. We're going to have a great conversation about internships in our community. Internships can be a valuable tool for students to gain that real-world experience in their chosen field that makes them more employable as soon as they graduate. And for an organization, interns can bring valuable assistance during busy times, innovation and insight on current and future projects, and then also potential future employees. Throughout today's presentation, please feel free to ask any questions that you have in the Q&A section on the side of your screen. At the end of the presentation, as time allows, we'll work to get through all those and answer those questions for you. Before we get started, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce one of the Knoxville Chamber sponsors to say a few words. Y12 Federal Credit Union sponsors the Knoxville Chamber's talent ecosystem. The support of our sponsors allows us to do things like develop an internship engagement program, launch talent attraction campaigns, and many other things that we work on through the year. We appreciate their support and investment in the Chamber's mission and our community. Please allow me to introduce Alicia Strange, Senior Manager of Community and Public Relations for Y12 Federal Credit Union. Alicia?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I actually am now the Director of Community and Public Relations as of January 1st. So happy to represent Y12. We are super pumped to be a sponsor of this particular ecosystem. And just to share a few words about why we chose to do this and what this means to us. Healthy work environments and healthy workforces aren't singular to any one company. This is something that we all share in, because when we have healthy workforces, we have healthy communities. People are buying more, people are eating out more. And so businesses thrive, we thrive. And that's something that all of us can, lock arms together and be a part of. So it was a no-brainer for us to join in this capacity because of that. We love happy employees, and the more that we can build a robust workforce in Knoxville, the more prominent we become for our communities and, who knows, the whole nation. So we are super excited to be here. I know you guys are going to get some really interesting and unique information this morning to help you and your respective companies. I know a big thing that we're working on this year, and I am happy you guys to connect with me, anytime really that we can be a support to you. And this is nothing new. This is not anything that, we've just discovered. It's been a problem, but it's a really big problem now. And so as a company who values a strong workforce, we are also in a position to do our due diligence by that workforce. And what I mean by that is right now in our country, financial literacy is in a critical state. And I don't just mean for youth. 4 in 7 adults are financially illiterate. And I'm not a great math person, but that's over half of our country. And when I mean financially illiterate, it's not that they can't count or add, it's they can't manage their finances. And so when we get jobs and when we supply jobs and when we, try to get that healthy workforce and thriving community, it's on all of our shoulders to also provide resources for them to make the best decisions once they start getting that solid and flowing income. And so that's one of the things we're really trying to focus on this year. The basics, nothing, granular in terms of budgeting, just the basics, because that's really where the trouble is. So we are happy to come to any of your companies and speak to that anytime you'd like us to. And again, super happy to be here and be a part of the Knox County Chamber. You guys do so much for Knoxville and the surrounding communities. And I know we're going to continue to grow and all reap the benefits of your hard work. So thank you guys for having me. And I will turn it back over to you, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Alicia, and thank you for everything that you and Y12 are doing in our community. Y12 Federal Credit Union, excuse me. Okay, guys, well, let's go ahead and get started. I would like to now introduce our panelists. First, Leslye Hartsell, Director of Community Relations for Knoxville Utilities Board, KUB. Dylan Jones, Managing Partner of Boldsquare. Stephanie Kitt, Executive Director of the University of Tennessee Knoxville Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration. And John Jeffries, Chief Information Security Officer for the University of Tennessee's Medical Center. Okay, first, Stephanie, let's start with you. Can you explain internships for us? How they work, advantages for students, employers, etc.?
Lauren, thanks for kicking it off with that question. I am going to just initially read the definition of an internship from NACE, which is our National Association of Colleges and Employers, to make sure that we're all on the same page when we think about internships. So the National Association of Colleges and Employers defines internships as a form of experiential learning that integrates knowledge and theory learned in the classroom with practical application and skills development in a professional setting. Internships give students the opportunity to gain valuable applied experience and make connections in professional fields they are considering for career paths, and give employers the opportunity to guide and evaluate talent. So you can hear right within that definition that there are most definitely benefits to internships for both the student and the employer. So in terms of the student, it gives students the opportunity to try something on and gain that firsthand experience, test out what they've been learning in the classroom in a work setting and see how do they do, how well do they like it. It's also an incredible opportunity for them to network and build connections in the field that they are considering. Some students might pivot after that internship, and we tell them that's okay because that saves them time and that's important information to learn earlier on. But ultimately, they're gaining the skills and career readiness competencies that future employers are going to desire. And so whether they find a connection and end up getting a full-time offer at that organization, or they're able to take that experience to the next employer, is going to be very meaningful. And then our data shows that students who complete internships have higher starting salaries than students who do not. So it's actually financially beneficial for them as well. Now, you may think that the intern reaps all of the benefits, but for employers, internship programs are a great pipeline for talent to raise awareness of your brand and your organization on a college campus, to get to try out an employee for this very extended interview. So we all know there's a high cost and turnover. And if you're able to have students intern with you and get to know them over the course of several months and build that relationship and see how they perform on the job, it could really be a win for your organization. It can also give you relatively inexpensive talent to work on projects or tasks that you have difficulty completing just with, everyone's busy and their workloads are high. And it allows you to give back to the community, to maybe your alma mater if you're hiring interns out of that organization, or your profession as you train new professionals. And then the last thing I would say is that sometimes interns are going to bring a skill set or perspective that's lacking in your group. So, particularly if you're looking at a traditional age college student, maybe they are excellent with social media marketing and you're going to get to benefit from the expertise. Or maybe you'll learn more about Gen Z and what they desire by having some of those types of students on your team. So I'll leave it with that.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And I would love to highlight one thing that you said about internships, allowing a student to try out what they are planning on doing, and then they may pivot after that. But at least they're learning before they've graduated and entered the career. And that's why any work-based learning opportunity is important, even as early as elementary school, middle, high school, all the way up through college. So thank you so much for pointing that out. One local organization that utilizes internships well, particularly in IT, is UT Medical Center. John, Can you tell us a bit about your IT internships, how they're structured, and what are some examples of tasks and projects?
Absolutely, Lauren. Good morning, everyone. Stephanie, as you were talking, you took the words out of my mouth. Uh, at UT Medical Center, we partnered with the local community colleges and also with the University of Tennessee. And we sought out our interns through their programs. We joined their academic advisory boards, and we helped try to be involved in the process for education of the students on the academic side, but also when they come and seek for internships, we host them. And every year we've had great talent come through us that we've been able to invite over to join as a full-time employee, and also, if anything else, to learn more about what they have experience with and give them some experience working in our environment. A hospital network is a little bit different than some other places, but in the field of IT, IT is IT. And so I think that it's a great program for both the employer and the potential employee to get that engagement. We've had great success with it, and I can't speak highly enough of getting involved at all levels of that internship program.
Thank you, John. And I'll point out too, you mentioned getting involved in academic advisory boards, and you can do that in your local K through 12, and also in many of our post-secondary institutions. And that does help your recruiting for internships, knowing what our students are looking for in internships and things like that. So, John, thank you for mentioning that. Okay, Leslye, KUB also uses interns to bolster their workforce. Can you tell us a little bit about your college program?
Yes, I would love to tell you about it. And thank you, Lauren. Typically here at KUB, our student program is structured more as a part-time job than your traditional internship. Students can be hired in college, and they can be hired their freshman year and work through their senior year or to completion of college. Students have to be a full-time student, either at a 2-year, a 4-year, or a trade skill, a trade organization. And they're allowed to work anywhere from 15 to 29 hours per week here with us at KUB. On their breaks, they can work up to 40 hours a week. They're given the opportunity, like I'm hearing you all say, work on special projects and to gain some real world experience in their career path or interest that they're trying to pursue. Currently here at KUB, we have about 35 students with us now. Students, we even have a person that's now one of our senior VPs who started out as our senior, as a student. So they have an opportunity, like you said, to gain that real world experience, but it's also building that pipeline for us and retaining and attracting talent. And we've been able to utilize it. We have students that are managers here, that are supervisors, and like I said, now serving currently. I started as a student here at KUB. I'm a director, but then we also have a senior VP that started with KUB as a student as well.
Thank you so much. And I love hearing your success stories. So that's fabulous. Now, we've mostly talked about college students, but KUB does offer some high school opportunities. So can you tell us a little bit more about teamwork?
Yes, I would love to talk about teamwork. Teamwork is my baby, but teamwork is basically a program that KUB started. We've been doing teamwork for almost 27 years. And what it is a career readiness program. We initially started the program at Austin East Magnet High School, where we were working with youth their junior year in high school. They go through a series of classroom sessions, some team building opportunities, and learning things like resume writing, communicating in the workplace, dressing for success, just trying to prepare them as they go into a professional workforce. And once the students complete those classroom sessions, they have the opportunity to do a summer internship with us here at KUB. They do a 8 week, excuse me. They work June and July, and then they go back to school in August. Like I said, we select them their junior year. And I'm very proud to say this year, we had exclusively been with Austin East Magnet High School, but we've expanded that program this year. We're now at Central High School and Fulton High School, which is also flagship schools for the University of Tennessee. We're partnering with TCAT as well. Through that pipeline, we've been able to hire about 20. We have about 20 full-time employees through that program. We want more students. But it's an opportunity for us to expose high school students to career opportunities in the utility industry. And also, like everybody else, it's building that pipeline. It's also sparking some interest, kind of seeing what they like and don't like. So they have the opportunity to choose an area that they want to work in, and kind of gain some early on experience, in comparison to some of their peers. And then, we're utilizing it as an opportunity to build that pipeline as well.
Thank you so much, Leslye. It is so important for our students' success, not just in school, but in life, to get those early exposures to potential careers, and especially here locally, so they can stay home, which is what we all want, right? We want to be here.
Exactly.
Leslye, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I know what some of you all may be thinking, and that is, okay, that's great that they can do that. What about me and my small business? So we are going to talk to Dylan at Boldsquare. Dylan, we know internships are not just for large businesses. So tell us how Boldsquare has used interns to grow its workforce.
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks for having me on the panel. I've worked in a lot of big businesses. I worked at Scripps. I worked for major record companies and MTV and companies like that, and I've seen highly developed internship programs being run by dedicated employees, and they're great. And I'm certainly envious of those. But we don't have that luxury. We're a relatively small business with probably 30 people in total. So the programs that we run generally get run by the partners of the business, and that's difficult as we become a $1 million business and a $2 million business, and now getting close to 3 million. And so we have to spend a lot of personal time on making these programs work. But we do think it's super important because we need to access a next generation of talent for our business. We're very specific that we're not looking for people to make the coffee or do the filing. It's important for us that we are looking for a next generation of employees for our business, and we want people who can make a difference for us today, hopefully, but certainly in the future, and become employees down the line. So we've built a program that gives people a very rounded experience of what it's like to be at Boldsquare. We give them experience of digital and content development, and some strategy and marketing and social media, obviously. We pay people very well as part of our program. They earn close to $15 an hour for being part of our program. We think that's super important. We don't believe that we think if you're going to contribute to the success of our business, then you should be participating, not just as college credit and things like that, but also financially. And so we've invested substantially in the program. We do have people on our team who are former interns, and we're certainly looking to grow the program so that we can have more people come through our business. Like I say, there's a time challenge to us because it's difficult for us to get people in and make sure that they get the proper experience of our business. But we do think it's important, and therefore we have to spend time on it and make sure it's a pipeline for the future for us.
Dylan, you and I have had conversations about the current hiring environment. So tell me a little bit about how utilizing internships help with that? And if you weren't using interns, what would the ramifications be on your business?
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of open hiring positions right now that we are spending a lot of time looking. We're spending a lot of time interviewing people. We're spending a lot of time crafting the story around what the opportunity is, and it takes a substantial amount of time for a company that's relatively small and that has lots of clients who have lots of needs. So any time we spend recruiting takes away time from spending with our clients, which is really where all of our revenue comes from. So the less time I can spend recruiting, the less time, the more I have an active pipeline of people coming into the business, and hopefully through internships, the better it is for me, and more so, the better it is for Knoxville and for Boldsquare that we are developing employees with the skill set to eventually come through our business, right? It's one thing for there to be one opportunity. When I was at Scripps, I always knew that there was only one place for me to be if I wanted to work for a company in Knoxville. The kind of skills I have, not Scripps was going to be the only place I could be, and therefore, when I left Scripps, the only option was really setting up Boldsquare if I wanted to stay in Knoxville. We want to make sure that interns have more options, and if we can grow a pipeline of people with the skill set around communications and marketing and things like that, we can ensure that there's many options for them, because there's a base of people here with high talent, and so if our internship can play a part in that, then that's good for me right now, and it's good for Knoxville.
Thank you, Dylan. Yes, as Knoxville grows, there's going to be more and more opportunity for businesses like Dylan, and also for potentially new businesses and entrepreneurs to start their own and jump into that ecosystem that we have here. So, Dylan, thank you for helping us grow our pipeline here locally and our ecosystem. So, thank you. Now, we certainly understand that small businesses may not have an internship program built out, and they may not have the manpower to try to get that built out. So, Stephanie, how can your team help with that?
Yes, we would be happy to help our local organizations start up an internship program, or just look at the current program you have to see if there might be ways to strengthen it. We have on our website, under our employer section, a really great guide just to help you get started, that helps you even see the differences between an internship, a part-time job, a volunteer experience, and walks you through some of the considerations that you would want to think through when starting a program, thinking about what are the goals of your intern program, who's going to supervise the intern, how will you do evaluations. I was really happy to hear Dylan talking about paying their interns. When at all possible, I do feel strongly that we should try to pay students. I think that unpaid internships are dwindling a bit, and perhaps still necessary in some areas like nonprofit organizations. And I do understand how that's difficult, but hopefully any for-profit business can pay their interns. And so you need to think through that as well. Now, we also have folks on our team that would be happy to consult with you and help you get started. We have one person in particular who focuses on internships, and she's out on maternity leave this semester, but other people can jump in and get you started. So we want to help you with your recruiting needs, whether that is intern or full-time, but can help you get that intern program started. And you could always reach out to me initially, and I can connect you with the right team member.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Now, I would love to hear from our other three panelists about how you recruit for your interns. So, John, let's start with you. How do you all recruit for interns?
Often our interns are referrals from other people. We like we said earlier, we've partnered with the local schools, and some of the schools have internship programs where they'll contact us and send resumes. And we do interviews with the students before they join. And like for my team, the cybersecurity team, we'll actually set up an interview with them as if it were a job application and go through the process. And it's really interesting to see how the students will show up for the interview. And that's part of the process, I think, to show to see if they show up professionally dressed and can present themselves in a very positive manner. I appreciate what Leslye said earlier about preparing them for that, because I think that's so critical for the students to learn that. Now, honestly, I don't hold that against someone if they don't know that. I would love to try to work with them and help them through that process if they don't know. But when I see somebody come in and they just nail it, it's just so exciting, And so honestly, the we do the interviews, and then the team will discuss the candidate to see if they're going to be a good fit for our team, and see if they're actually, because we really don't just look at it as what they're going to bring to us, but we want to make sure it's going to be a good experience for them, because we don't want to set someone up for failure. And so that's how we've done it in the past and had good success with it.
Thank you so much, John. Leslye, what about you?
Our traditional our way that we try to recruit interns or students is through career fairs, attending college career fairs. Our recruiters attend anywhere from 10 to 20 career fairs a year. We also work and try to establish relationships with the schools, both on a high school level and in the college institutions. So that those referrals come through when they see a good student that that they're trying to keep here, and feel like they would be a good fit for our organization. So it's really about establishing those relationships and partnerships, and then just trying to market the opportunities that are available here at KUB. I think Stephanie pointed out a good thing. Our part-time student positions are paid positions. They're paid. So I think that's one thing that helps us. Like she said, a student is, while they're learning, they're also gaining some additional income, and they also get an opportunity to kind of see what the possibilities of that income can be. So they're learning about skill sets as well. But probably our most traditional tactic is going to career fairs, and then also just partnering with the schools, high schools, on up to your higher institutions, to try to establish relationships, and that way we can receive referrals as well.
Thank you so much, Leslye. Dylan?
We've worked very closely with UT to get great people through the communication school and journalism and things like that. I think the challenge for us now is to make sure that, as well as doing that, we're looking elsewhere, because I want to make sure that we're not always getting the same kind of student coming through our program, right? If we're going to be a diverse business that we want to be, then we've got to be looking in different places for our internships. And that's going to be the challenge for us over the next year, is making sure that we're finding different people. I don't want to just have people who enjoy posting on Instagram and want to turn that into a living, right? I want people who have high intellectual curiosity, who are committed to finding new ways of doing things, and who want to put their skills to work to help clients be better at what they do. And clients come in all different shapes and sizes, and so interns need to come in all different shapes and sizes. And UT has been fantastic for us, and will continue to be. There's no doubt about that. But we've got to be able to find interns elsewhere, and that's going to be the challenge for us over the coming months.
Thank you so much, Dylan. And Stephanie, like you mentioned, if anybody is wanting to connect with Stephanie and her team at University of Tennessee to recruit interns, you can reach out to Stephanie. You can go to utk.edu and go to the career development page. You can actually just go to the search bar and type in interns, and it will take you straight to their team. And I will say also, I am happy to help anyone connect with of our post-secondary institutions, our tech schools, our community colleges, our universities, and also our public school system if you are interested in beginning to recruit for interns. So thank you all so much for everything we discussed today. And for our audience, if you haven't already, please submit any questions that you have in the Q&A panel on the screen. I already see some coming through. So thank you so much for that. And while you are entering your questions in, I want to take this time to tell everyone about the Knoxville Chamber's Developing Internships webpage. So on this page, organizations can find a step-by-step guide on how to develop an internship. And that is a big thank you to Stephanie and her team for allowing us to adapt their internship guidebook for that. Additionally, there are links to our local post-secondary partners to connect directly with their respective teams to start recruiting for your next internships. So in addition to UT, Mississippi State, Roane State, and many other community colleges around the area like LMU and South College. And so you can go to the link that has been put in at the top of the Q&A section over on the side of your screen. You will see the URL for that. But also you can always navigate to that on the Chamber's website by going to the Talent tab, which is under Regional Enhancement. Okay, so let's answer some of these questions. Becky Ash asked an amazing three-part question, so we will go through that one. Thank you so much. First, what are the company's thoughts about digital and virtual internships in today's climate, which is a fabulous question. Anybody want to jump in on that? Feel free to unmute.
I can take that one from my perspective. In 2020, when COVID came out, part of people at UT Medical Center that could go remote, work remote, did. And so at that time, we had several interns that were working with us from one of the local community colleges. And the requirement for them to graduate was to complete their internship. And so there was some concern about us not being able to continue to host them working remote. And so we were able to shift our program over to a hybrid working remote program that allowed them to complete the internship. And since then, all of our internships have been remote work. And so we've been able to successfully migrate over to that model. And I think we've been able to host interns that don't even live here in Knoxville. They live further out now. And so the students don't have to drive in or anything. And so not everyone is able to do that, but we were able to successfully do that with, I'm pleased to say, great success.
Thank you for that. And I will say that those, like John just mentioned, those remote virtual internship opportunities really help allow for access to maybe someone who isn't typically able to do an internship because they have to work, they have extracurriculars, whatever that looks like. If there are some remote opportunities, it does allow for greater access for our students. Dylan, did you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I mean, our first internship program was entirely virtual, not necessarily originally by design, but certainly became that way. I do think there's some benefit, more probably to the interns than to us, from being able to be around each other and to be around the team. So I think in some ideal world there'd be a hybrid, and we've certainly had that more recently. But I definitely think, it's entirely possible, as we've shown. We have employees now who have come through an entirely virtual internship program. So I know it's possible. It definitely works, and certainly can be done.
I will say we've done it. The pandemic showed a utility company who is used to being here, 24/7, that we had to learn how to work remotely. It's probably more conducive for an intern to be able to do that in our IT environment versus some of our other areas. So in some of our other areas where we had students here working with us, we've taken a more hybrid approach. Some internal being in-house with us, because I agree with Dylan. I think they they gain some value and some experience of being around other people in the field, and to be able to ask those questions and kind of do more shadowing with those folks. But I think in other areas, like I mentioned, our IT, where those folks can easily do their job remotely, and we've allowed our students to do that as well. So I just think you have to be flexible and open.
Yes, flexibility is one of the words of the pandemic, right? Yeah, Dylan.
I think one thing just to add on that is we have found that interns or young people in general don't necessarily come to the workplace kind of house trained for what it's like to be an employee, right? And you spend a lot of time kind of getting them used to the idea of what being an employee is. And I'm sure that I went through that when I was their age as well. I do think there's some value of being in the workplace to get some of that. But again, I think it can be taught virtually, but there's definitely some value there.
Great point.
Lauren, can I just add that there's some best practices around doing virtual or hybrid internships. And so I think that students are very open to them. But just making sure that there's good communication, might have to be more proactive about seeking them out virtually, since you're not running into them in hallways, and making sure that they have the technology they need where they're remoting from, and just finding ways for them to connect and learn, so they're not totally missing that all of these like socialization, professionalism opportunities that everyone's mentioning is so important.
Great point, Stephanie. Thank you. Okay, Leslye, you're on deck, because I'm going to ask you to answer part 2, and then I'm going to include another question, because I think they go together well. So part 2 says, many of the opportunities sound geared towards IT fields. What might be some other roles you've used interns for? And then additionally, Shay Phillips said this question might be directed mostly to Leslye. As an employee in HR for an electrical contractor, what type of job duties are your high school students performing at KUB? So Leslye, if you wouldn't mind, again, that's what other roles have interns been a part of other than IT, and then what do your high school students work on?
Okay. To answer the first question, we have interns in our human resources department, in our communications department, in our engineering department. It's been a great resource or tool to use to recruit engineers. To be honest, we've probably placed an intern just about in every department here at KUB in some form or fashion. So we don't limit it to just the IT area. We have interns in our customer service division as well. I think depending on what their career interest is and their career path, and if we have an opening and a need in that area, we try to make it work. We try to place that student in that area so they can gain some experience. The second part to that question, as it relates to high school students, one of the things that we've done, we've built internally what we call an apprenticeship program for the students. So while they're in high school, you're right, they're limited on what they can do, but they can go out with a crew, and where they can't actually perform the job, they can hand them certain tools that are safe. We spend a lot of time with our students in our safety department, preparing them to be in a work environment where they're out in the field, to make sure that the workers stay safe, students stay safe, and our customers stay safe. So oftentimes it might not be as much as them doing things, but they're getting to shadow and see. But they can hand them some basic tools that are, not gonna cause harm. And so it's about learning the tools. It's about learning, our system and understanding terminology. So it's probably on that high school level more of a shadowing opportunity. Students who do really well their junior year have the opportunity to come back and work their senior year, like their Christmas breaks and their summer breaks, etc. And so we try to build on those. And as they get a little bit older, they can apply and go through our internal apprenticeship program that we've built for students that have not as much experience, but so they gain and continually build on that to where they can become a full-time employee.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Then that does go into Becky's third part of her question, which is specifically in regards to K through 12 pipeline. What are some barriers from your side to offering opportunities to students under 18, and what might be some things you've seen work to address them? Dylan, would you mind talking just a little bit about that part 2 question? What roles other than IT your interns do, because I know your interns do a lot of marketing and brand strategy and things like that. And then if you ever work with interns under 18.
I love to work with interns under 18. We haven't, there's more of that house training to do, I think. So, there's the barrier there is just the amount of time you spend building some of the natural maturity that a person needs to have. That's no disrespect to the students, just that they're not used to that. And when you're dealing with, public company clients or bigger clients with some big issues that they need to resolve, putting a senior from high school in is tough, right? But I'd like to find ways to do some of that, and I wouldn't say that we're there yet, but I think that's something we'd certainly be looking to do. In terms of the opportunities, it's a broad range of marketing and communications and brand strategy work. I think great ideas in that space can come from anywhere. They don't have to come from somebody like me who's got 25, 30 years of experience of doing it. And we've had lots of luck with people from different fields being able to do this, whether they're interns or otherwise. We found that teachers are really, really good communicators for us and become great long-term employees. So, I'm not of the belief that our interns should just come from communications programs or from journalism programs or things like that. I really think they can come from anywhere. But certainly we don't recruit interns to work in kind of technical or back office functions. We really want people to be helping move our clients forward. So definitely opportunities there for people.
Thank you, Dylan. John, do you want to speak to opportunities for under 18 and what barriers you might have at the medical center?
Sure. We don't typically host interns that are under 18. In the past, we had a summer program where students could come in and job shadow people for a week, and we had great success with that. But when COVID came out, we weren't able to continue that, and we're hoping to do that in the future when everything settles down. But there's several concerns there with hosting interns under 18 for us, and so we've just made a decision that we couldn't do that at the time. So
absolutely. Thank you so much. And the last question is from Harry. Are the chamber and local businesses familiar with internships for veterans? So that is a great topic that I think we could discuss. As veterans separate from the military, they are afforded up to 180 days to intern at no charge to the company, with the company to augment their existing skill set with the possibility of employment upon completion of the internship. And I have been involved in the veteran community for a few years now, and I do know the struggles when someone separates from the military and trying to figure out how their skills translate into civilian life. So this is a great point. Do any of you all have experience with internships for veterans?
I don't have experience with internships for veterans, but I'm a veteran myself, and I know the challenges that I faced when I transitioned from the military to civilian life. And I think that that would be a great program for any veteran to go through. And if for anything else, just the job networking uh, experience you get from that, meeting people. And a lot of times, I spent over 20 years in the military. And so for me, the challenges were, like you said, trying to share with someone what I did in the military and how does it equate to something in the, life outside. Because if you look at someone in the military, they may have one particular job that they did, but they're so well versatile to do so much more, and they do so much more. And so it's not just a HR role, it's not just a engineering role or an IT role. They have, like I know in the submarines, you may be a cook, but you may be driving that submarine. You may be responsible for driving that submarine on a particular watch or something. And so the responsibility is amazing of what these sailors or these service members get to experience. And so I think it's a great program if veterans can take advantage of that.
Thank you, John, for your insight. And Harry did add the program is specifically called Skill Bridge. So what I will do is I will put together some information to send out to you all about some things we talked about today, connections for everyone, a link to that developing internship page, and then I will get some information on SkillBridge and include that in an email to our audience members. Harry, thank you so much for that. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I really hope everyone who joined today was able to take something back to their organization and utilize for a potential new internship program or for their existing internship program. And panelists, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know that you have helped influence our internship climate, and it is always our goal to retain the talent that we have here, and you all are helping do that. Thank you, everyone, for your time this morning. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.